What's up? You guys remember this amp I left off on? Well, I've narrowed it down to what the problem was. I feel kind of dumb because I do and I don't. This amp should be fine because it has a low pass, high pass filter, meaning it should be a full range amp. It's a Class D amp, so it threw me off. We weren't getting any sound out of the speakers. So I've backtracked, switched amps, took all the RCA splitters off, ran straight into one channel to one separate speaker. Did all this with his original radio, which is in here now. And I still didn't get any sound out of it. So I thought about it for a while. I had another radio sitting around. It was already wired up with a pigtail like this to plug right into a Impala. It's for the black one out there, the one that's going with the black interior. Anyways, this will probably be a 3-part video of this whole troubleshooting analysis. So this from day one upset me and didn't sit well with me. I wanted to run 3 RCAs, front, rear, and subwoofer. And when I looked at the radio in the very beginning, many months ago, noticed it only had 1 RCA output. So that caused me to use those splitters out there. Well, I had a funny feeling about this RCA output the whole time, and that's the problem. We're not getting any sound out of this to the amp. So with the other radio it's working fine, but just to make sure, these videos are going to show me backtracking, hooking all the original speakers. Here, we're going to go out here and turn it on, see that it's playing. And then from there I will hook all the original speakers back to the donor amp, make sure the inside speakers work now and what they do. Also putting the splitters back in so we can go into all 4 channels. And then from there, hooking the old amp, the original amp, back up, which is a new amp. And then from there, back to the head unit. So, and the interior's done, pretty much. There's front door panels. On the 2nd or 3rd video from this, should be completely finished. Waiting on some door inserts that go down here. And still have to take the windows down and clean the tint off the edges. But before I click all this in place, I'm going to make sure all the switches and everything's working correct. The front seat's finished. I'll show that more in depth on the last video. And he's got another steering column going in here, so we'll talk about that later too. Sound. It's just with this radio, and you can see the outputs on this radio here. They have front, rear, and here's a pigtail for a subwoofer. It's a mono. So, let's backtrack, bring it back to the head unit. It started aggravating me. That was something very unpredictable. Alright, next video I'll have all that hooked up. See what's working on the inside. One last thing on this video. So after finishing up last night, I decided to read the instructions. And I'm starting to wonder if this is a dummy and not even live. Because part of these instructions, you see how basic this radio is. This reminds me of back in the 90s when a lot of us used to hook RCA converters to the actual speaker wires. That's old school. But yet the instructions are showing you to do it here. There's subwoofer. And it's a little funny, the instructions. So you can read that. You can send this amp off and have them test voltage here. See if a signal's even coming out of it. But then it does say over here that this number 2 block, which is number 2 RCAs, does go to a power amplifier. Power amp. But they don't work. I even went through the extent of resetting this and make sure it wasn't in demo mode where it had sound canceled from going out, possibly. But that's not the case either. Alright, that's where we're at. Now I'm fixing to backtrack, put it all back together, and be done. Peace. See you on the next one.